The following presentation is rated WPC.
That song go. That song go to them. That song go. That song go to them. Popcorn can't be beat.
Hi, welcome to our first segment of Cinema Chat here on Filmbuff. Today, we have a very, very special guest for you. He is the producer of horror movies such as Removal, Anarchy Parlor, Raise,
We can do this! What? Kill this mother.
and The Girl in the Photograph, starring Kal Penn, which was the last movie that the late great horror icon Wes Craven produced. He's a very, very close friend of mine. I'd like to introduce to you Thomas Mahoney. Hey, Thomas.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Thanks for being my first guest.
Yeah, this is exciting.
We've known each other for a bit of time now, haven't we?
Yeah, I'd say probably like 20 years.
20 years, grew up together. You teach now, don't you?
Yeah, I'm on the faculty at a couple schools for production at the American Film Institute where I went to school.
AFI, the conservatory.
Yeah, in the thesis production program, and then as well as California Marymount University in South Bay, Palos Verdes.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been interesting and, at a level of my career where I feel it's important to give back and teach and help instruct the next generation of filmmakers on top of working on my own stuff.
You got any Spielbergs in there?
We'll see.
Any Carpenters?
A lot of potential.
A lot of potential?
Yes. High
That's
potential.
good. That's good. As you know, today is a big day for movies. Avengers Endgame comes out, which starts the summer movie blockbuster season.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could tell me and our friends out there when this season actually starts.
Well, historically and traditionally, if you go back to like the 70s and 80s, the summer movie season really didn't start until Memorial Day, which is late May.
Yeah.
And as
Isn't that like the Star Wars time? That was their usual
Star
time.
Wars is there. That's where the Indiana Jones movies came out, and
And it would start your season.
it would start the season because it was at the end of school for either if you're on the West Coast, most school ends in mid-May, and in the East Coast it ends early June. So it was kind of like in a perfect place. And then as the years have gone by and we moved into the 90s and the 2000s, it started to get moved up and creep up slowly. For a very long time, traditionally, it was kind of like the first week of May. And that's where you had like, Spider-Man and I think Gladiator one year. And that was like in the early 2000s.
Yeah, that was around 99.
And that was kind of like established. And even some of the earlier Marvel movies, I think the original Avengers was first week of May. And Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, was the first week of May, and then part two. It seemed to have moved up until April, and I think Fast and the Furious 8 was kind of like the first movie.
I
to
was
kind of
wondering
pull it up to early May. It was first weekend of April.
I was wondering if something like Matrix had started that.
No, because Matrix wasn't really established as a summer movie.
They didn't
at that
release
time.
it as a summer
No,
vehicle.
it was
Gotcha.
just a movie to put out. Fell at that time.
So it feels like now every year we have like one special movie that comes out, in the March or April.
Yeah,
time.
and it seemed like last year, I think the Fast and the Furious 8 moved up to that first week of April.
They now claim that weekend.
Really like established that April is now open season as a quote unquote summer movie month, even though it's not even 2 months. It's about 2 months prior to the official summer start date. But last year, with the Avengers was originally supposed to come out their normal frame in May, first weekend of May, which is a date that they've held consistently for a really long time, and then they moved it up a week to late April, and they're following suit this year. So it's interesting. It's kind of nebulous. I think that we'll see as the years go by, as long as there's a taste for these bigger movies. I think personally, we've seen the business change so much that you could open a movie anywhere at any time of the year if it has the right marketing and the right fanfare to success, as we've seen with Us, and even Black Panther came out last year in February, and Captain Marvel. And
Marvel's really they're controlling now when they're the
release windows of these things. But we traditionally had the old saying was that studios made their money in the summer and won their awards in the fall and winter, because that was the award season. But then also we're starting to see some awards movies come out in the summer now, and some big blockbusters come out in the holiday season, like Star Wars now and things like that. So it's kind of all over the map. I think the idea and the mythos of the quote-unquote summer movie has lost a little bit as the years have gone by because of this, because that was the time of the year for May, June, July, and into August. That's where the big movies would come out. And now, a big movie comes out in February or September or October, and it's not thought about any other way than just that. And as the generations continue, they won't think anything of it. It'll just be normal release patterns and schedules.
So if these seasons, or specifically the summer ones, start earlier, does it end earlier? Are we seeing the same end time in the August? Leading into the quiet September?
Well, August has always been also known as a traditional soft month in box office, because it's the month of the summer where most vacation is being taken place, and it crosses over with most people gearing up back into the fall, into Labor Day, and going back to school. And, so that kind of slows things down. So August has always been a traditional slower month. The movies have proven to be able to open in August to big results. I think Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Those were all August movies. Again, superhero movies, there was a special audience, but, you can make money in August. You can make money anywhere, like I said.
Yeah.
So.
My whole life, you know me, I'm a list guy. I take my favorites and I put them in a list.
Sure.
So we're gonna start this cinema chat off with a list of your top 3 most anticipated summer movies of this season. Now, not including today's Endgame release.
Which comes at,
So what would your number 3 be?
Number 3 for this summer, most anticipated, would be Detective Pikachu.
Really?
Yes.
I was not expecting you to say that. Is there a specific thing you're looking forward to?
I think that first, from what I've seen of the trailers, it looks creative and cool. It kind of feels like it could be a Roger Rabbit-esque movie where it takes place in a special world where we coexist with some mythical creatures, and I think
1 foot in that genre and 1 foot out.
Yes, and I think Ryan Reynolds is at peak Ryan Reynolds right now with doing the voice of that character, and that should be really good. And then
my number 3. Were you going to your number 2?
No. I was just saying the worldwide phenomenon of the Pokemon situation, which I'm not like a diehard.
And its timing.
Yeah, its timing, I think, will contribute to the hype and the charm of that movie, and it's just something I'm really curious to see them try to pull off in a live action way. I'm not, like I said, I'm not diehard. I know a lot of people, a lot of friends of mine that are big into the Pokemon stuff and the Pokemon Go and then the old video games and the cards, and I think it's an exciting time for that, but I think it's something that I'm curious to see how it shakes out. So that's my number 3.
My number 3, and I'm not too familiar with the backstory on this, but Brightburn seems really interesting to me.
Mom, who am I? You are a gift. We believe that you came here for a reason.
James Gunn his name is pretty big right now out there, and I'm a big fan of his work. Even pro, Guardians like Slither, I thought was really, really good, and I'm really interested when he takes a step out, of the superhero genre to try to do something else and to see what else if he still has it,
Yeah.
Maybe there is something wrong with Brandon.
I will never turn against our son.
He's not my son.
I think that, David Urofsky was the director of that, and it should be interesting. I know it's been in development for a while. I'm sorry if I butchered his name. I know some people that know him, but James Gunn and him, I think, developed it, and what it really works for James Gunn is kind of subverting genre stuff and putting it on its head and doing something different, as we saw with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Or Super even.
And Super, and probably what he's going to do with the Suicide Squad soft reboot, and it seems like a little bit of a mix. It's kind of like it seemed, from what I've seen, and I haven't seen much, but it seems like it's taking the superhero origin story and turning it into a horror movie, which I find really interesting.
I did see a lot of Krypton elements in this story.
Yeah, so we'll see how that shakes out, but yeah, definitely excited to see that.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Ari Aster's Midsummer, which is the Ari directed Hereditary.
Oh, yes.
His horror follow-up.
Yeah, I haven't seen ads on this.
I don't know why you invited us.
That's why you look so guilty right now, because you know.
We only do this every 90 years.
Very vague, isn't it? Like there's not
the
much
marketing
about
campaign is pretty tight
scarce on it, yeah.
And which is fine for me because I like seeing stuff blind and not having any idea. And
I'm sure that that's how they want you. I think Hereditary marketed itself like
and
that.
Hereditary was something that really
Just
really
was
blew up.
huge,
It was a huge step in the genre of high drama, elevated horror, and I think it worked on many levels. And it's just an emerging top flight filmmaker that I'm excited to see his next movie, and I think that that's something that
You think that's something that he is specifically like, or like a trend of all his movies, or just specific to Hereditary?
I think that horror sandbox is some place that he seems comfortable in. Though I would like, it would be cool to see him do anything else. I root for everybody, so whatever he's happy making, I'll be happy seeing. But I'm pumped for that movie. I think it's going to be really cool, and I want to see what he does.
Was that you said early July? Is that the same week as Spider-Man?
I feel like it falls somewhere.
4th
in
of July there?
Yeah, and I think yeah. So
My number 2, and I hate to say it just to be cliche, but man, I am excited about The Lion King, just because it's Jon Favreau. I felt that The Jungle Book is a story you could tell many different times with the same characters, and it always finds, it's fun. It always finds a way to be really fun. Usually these new Disney reboots, not my opinion in it too much, but they seem to very similar, almost verbatim to the older school movies. But Lion King is one of those that, to me, it doesn't matter how they tell it, but the fact that Jon Favreau is doing it is what really sells it for me.
it's interesting because these movies are really under fire, and it just depends on what your tastes are and what you want to see. And Disney has found a really strong way of carving a niche into rebooting their IP and all their original cartoons into live action stuff. And some stuff's controversial, and some stuff makes a lot of money, and it rediscovers a new audience. The movie for me is I'm not as deeply connected with the original Lion King as maybe some people are, but I respect it, and I think it's an excellent movie. So, yeah, will I go see this movie? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think Jon Favreau is a good filmmaker? Absolutely. And I think that they did some cool stuff with the Jungle Book. And, I'd be curious to see what the interpretation is of the Lion King this time around, and what the point of view is, and what the story is, and if they take it in a different direction or take it in the same direction but just tell it in a different way. So yeah, excited to see that.
So what's your number one?
Number one is Yesterday.
Oh,
Danny Boyle movie.
Is that Danny Boyle? I didn't even realize that.
Yes, Danny Boyle is one of my favorite filmmakers. It kind of falls into this
Slumdog Millionaire and Trainspotting.
Right, and it kind of, it's about this guy wakes up one morning in a world where the Beatles don't exist, and he recreates some of their songs, I think, and introduces their songs to people, and
recreates their movements almost.
Right, and Danny Boyle has one of my favorite filmmakers, and he's very versatile in the sense that he could do something like a wish fulfillment type thing, like a Millions or a Slumdog Millionaire, but at the same time do something poignant like a Steve Jobs, or a sci-fi like a Sunshine, or like really coming of age, like real stuff like in Trainspotting and in Trainspotting 2. And he's kind of just has his talent to be able to take whatever story is put in front of him and make it work. And I think that this movie kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of people, which including me, who's a big Danny Boyle fan. All of a sudden this trailer was out and it seemed really cool. And it kind of fits into this trend right now of like these type of movies about like people that wake up in a different world, like Isn't It Romantic, or Happy Death Day, or...
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me.
Sorry, I'm just listening to Jack's new song.
What's this one called?
Leave It Be.
Let It Be. Well, rock on, Jack.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something. I wanna hold your hand.
Kind of like you just wake up and something, it doesn't exist the way it did before you woke up, or something has completely changed from where you woke up, and it's kind of like a fairy tale. So I think Danny Boyle, if anybody could pull something off like that, and I think I'm really excited to see that movie. So yeah, it's a really interesting number one. I think it's much more interesting than my number one is, of course, I had to bring it up once. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think that's going to be the movie for me. This cast is out of control. There's a lot of great people in there. The late great Luke Perry. You got Leo and Brad. Also very scarce on the plot, like he usually is. But I don't see this being jam-packed for nothing.
And that gospel group telling you
In this town, that can all change like that.
I mean, this is almost reminiscent of True Romance or Natural Born Killers with the type of stack of actors he has in this. Al Pacino for his first time working with Tarantino. And I think the fact that he's keeping it low-key is what's really helping, but we'll see if they premiere it at that festival.
Not bad, Kato. Try that again.
Yeah, I don't even know if his cut's done yet. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised
but,
either.
I think for me, that movie, it's definitely in my top 10 for the summer. And for me, it's like, when it comes back, Tarantino's probably my top 10 filmmakers. And I understand the criticisms against him, but I'm a defender, and, I think Inglourious Basterds is a masterpiece, and I like Django Unchained, and, as far as like his newer stuff, his post kind of Kill Bill filmography, and then obviously, you know, Reservoir Dogs. I'm a big Jackie Brown fan.
Yeah.
I think it's exciting that he's doing a movie that takes place in LA again, because he always has a way of doing stuff that takes place in a world of LA that we don't know existed, but he honestly hasn't made he likes to do stuff that takes place in and out of the clouds of the movie business. Like obviously in Inglourious Basterds, she runs and operates a movie theater, and his weapon to kill Hitler is basically film. If you think about it, like he uses film literally to blow up the theater and burn it down and kill Hitler.
That's a good observation, yeah.
And you know, and there's some kind of like light references to the film industry and Pulp Fiction, but he has like a approach where he takes it in a different direction and kind of shows you something different. And I'm excited to see it. I think it's all going to depend on the point of view of the story, which I'm sure will be great, and the idea of what the through line of that movie is even about. I've stayed way off seeing what it is about and reading what it could be about, so I'll be surprised.
Well, yeah, you're not missing much because he hasn't told anybody anything.
Yeah, so I'll be surprised and excited as it gets closer, for sure. So, you know, I think it's a good summer coming up. We'll see some, you know, some honorable mentions, I guess. You know,
very interesting
Spider-Man movie coming out. We have
New Men in Black.
We have a New Men in Black. We have Toy Story 4. We have a Child's Play reboot. We have what else is coming out in there?
There's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Summer season.
The Long Shot with Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen
was
good. So yeah, there's definitely some stuff out there to really enjoy and sink our teeth into this summer. So I'm excited.
Well, plenty of reasons to go back out to the theater. Tommy, thank you so much for being my first guest
pleasure.
on Cinema Chat.
My pleasure.
All right, this is Thomas Mahoney. And
Happy birthday
to you. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday to you. 24.
I didn't know it was 24.
Yeah, there you go.
Who knew?
We wanted to do something special for the first episode, so it happened to fall on your birthday.
Thank you
Happy
so much.
birthday, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is Cinema Chat.
My favorite Ralph's cupcake. Seriously. Thank you.
All right.
All right, cool.
All right. We have plates and stuff if you want to eat it.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. You guys want to have some pieces of this?
Yeah, sure.
Popcorn can't be beat.